Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Crickets to Cha-Chings podcast. I'm here with Megan, who is an Etsy seller in our Beyond community. Welcome, Megan.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here today.
So tell me more about you. Tell the listeners, where are you from? How did you get started on Etsy?
I am living in Utah, about 30 minutes from Salt Lake. Started Etsy a couple years ago as an experiment. It was just kind of something I had at the back of my mind for a while. And the first year, I didn't do a whole lot with it. I had like a handful of listings. And then as I started adding more listings into the faith and family niche. Found that I like that area and I focused on that, and that's what it's become today. I have all printables for faith and family, like games and activities and resources.
Awesome. So I think you hit 300 sales on Etsy recently.
Yeah, yeah,
Congratulations.
thank you.
For people that are listening that maybe don't have that many sales yet, how long did it take you to get to 300 sales?
It took me a while. Just like I said, my first 6 months, I had no sales at all. I only had like five things on. So, and I wasn't too serious about my shop at that time. But in January, when I joined Gold City Ventures, I had, I think, 120. And so it's just picked up speed as it's gone on. But yeah, so I just hit 300 this last week. So
Well, congratulations. Tell me more about the faith and family niche. Whenever I find someone that kind of comes into my world through Gold City Ventures or whatever, I'm trying to find a niche where they could be successful. And obviously, if someone has some sort of religious affiliation, it fits really well with printables. And there aren't many mainstream places where you can shop for these products off of Etsy. So I just feel like it's the perfect niche for some people. So for you, tell me more about like how, even just using from your family, like how are you using, or how would your customer use these printables in their faith to help do whatever? Like tell us how they're being used.
yeah, so I have like family games and activities that don't like are really involved with faith, but they're for fun and family bonding, and we've enjoyed those in my home. It's some things that I've thought of and tried, or other ones that I've got ideas from, and to turn into the family niche. And as far as the faith, I have things that are like more broader Christian based, like a faith Easter hunt that's a scavenger hunt that has that theme, and some Christmas items. But then I have more things that are specific to the LDS faith, like a planner for teens to prepare like a Sunday lesson that kind of guides them through the steps so they can do it independently. It could apply to leaders as well, who sometimes will teach the teens class as well. So just thinking of things that there's either a need for or something that we've enjoyed.
So tell me, do you have a website on the side as well, and an
I,
email list?
Yes, I do. My website is still fairly new. I opened it in or started it in May, and so it's doesn't have a whole lot on there, but I have plans and I can continually adding to it. My website's princetoplift.com.
Okay, awesome. And you said you had subscribers, so how many do you have and how'd you get them?
Um, I'm still growing my list. I don't have a whole lot. I'm like under 50, but I'm growing. I have opt-ins I offer through mostly Instagram, Facebook as well that I've done, and then I have one on my uh, website right now for a free family scripture study ideas for toddlers through teens.
Do you find that you're getting any traffic from Google? Have you looked into Google Analytics yet?
I need to. That's something I was looking at setting up. I haven't done that for this website yet, so I
Oh, you
need
have
to do
other,
that.
do
I
you have other
did
blogs
have
too?
one before this, but I closed it down when I started this one. I wrote on family traditions and keeping records.
And I guess my question is, that sounds like it could fit with this. Why shut that down if you already had like history with Google?
I think because I felt like it was different enough, and I felt kind of pulled in different directions. I just kind of wanted to drop parts of it, and be able to focus in new areas.
Okay. Yeah. The reason I'm saying that is sometimes, like, for example, my blog, I have this blog, Millennial Boss. I started as a student loan payoff story. I have not had student loans for like a decade now, but now my blog will rank on other things such as Etsy. So Google, there's a certain point where you can write about too many things and it doesn't know what your blog is about, but it kind of sounds like maybe might be something to think about. You could, depending on how this new blog takes off, like if your old blog had existing traffic, you could start to write about new topics. You could you could turn off or deactivate some posts that aren't ranking about topics that you didn't want to talk about and continue. Because sometimes Google, they like older things that other people have linked to, and they surface those more in search results.
Yeah, that's a good point. I guess I was just like thinking of moving on at the time,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Either way, I think it's fine. So in terms of in the Beyond program, we talk about you need to get a traffic plan at the beginning. So either you need to try social media, you need to try blogging, or you have to work with someone else that has an audience. That's another way you can do it, like an influencer,
yeah,
because you're not, for the most part, leveraging Etsy to drive traffic to your off Etsy products.
yeah.
So I'm just curious, like how you're thinking about that challenge, because that's like the scariest. As the person leading the community with Sasha and Cody, that's the scariest thing. Where I'm like, okay, people that are usually used to getting leads through Etsy, now they have to go and create new lead sources, and it takes a while. So I'm curious how you're thinking about that and what your plan is.
I just trying to, I guess, grow my blog and the social media. I'm still trying to figure that out. That was kind of like a question I had myself, like what would be best to like try to do it kind of all at the same time or focus in on one area. That's I would like to get involved in doing maybe like putting some of my opt-ins in some bundles or creating some for that and getting exposure that way. But
I love the idea of doing the bundles. I know Sasha's big on that. We've talked about that before. And in the faith and family space, there are a lot of people putting together bundles for that. And for anyone listening, a bundle is when a group of business owners all contribute a product to one main person's bundle, and then that person sells the bundle. And you typically can get email subscribers by offering freebies as part of the bundle, or people have to sign in order to download your product, they have to enter your email list. So bundles can be, for a bigger business owner who has a larger list, it can be like flooding your subscribers with a bunch of other people's lists at the same time, which is maybe not as valuable. But if you're kind of up and coming and you're newer, it can be a great way to get your first couple hundred subscribers. And it only takes a couple hundred to get your first sale. Even if you think about it, you mentioned 50 is small for subscribers, but if you filled an auditorium with 50 people, that would feel pretty full. So
yeah.
you have 50 people reading your emails. That's pretty good. It's a great start. I'm curious in terms of the personal brand, like, do you want to be behind the scenes and you don't want to be a personal brand, or do you feel like, no, actually, I don't mind putting my face? I mean, you're on this podcast right now. Are you planning on like, hey, I'm going to be like Megan Campbell. I'm going to be a thing in the LDS printable space. People will know me, who I am.
I don't know. I have thought about being more behind the scenes. I'm like, ex- I guess, testing it out and ways to be more on. I'm more of like introverted, so it's a little intimidating, but
It's okay. So you're not opposed to it, but you're not seeking it either
yeah.
necessarily. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And I mean, I've fallen somewhere in the middle myself because I find it difficult to create lots of content in my life during the day for social.
Yeah.
But if you're centering around your products, and I think you went through an assignment as part of Beyond where you looked at the top competitors, and there are people who are selling faith and family printables in the LDS community, and they're not filming their faces for the most part. I mean, they're filming the actual products, hands using the products. That is, I would say that's kind of what you could do. But that being said, you're going to make more sales if people can connect to you and your story and kind of get behind you. So, there's a cost to being behind the scenes as well. Have you thought about trying with social? I mean, the bundle and email list thing is easier. Like you can just put a picture of you up there and have an about page on your blog and share more about you. You don't have to like get into it every day with people. But obviously, social media can accelerate it. Have you thought about doing some more social content, or does that not appeal to you?
Yeah, I think I plan to do that. For the last month, I did the 30-day social media challenge, and I felt that that was helpful in ways that I found different types of videos that or ways to connect with people that I hadn't really thought of before. And I have tested out a few where um, I did do like a introduction to myself on there during that time. And yeah, I think I'll continue trying some out. Um, Maybe not as often as the 30 days challenge where I was doing it every day, but yeah.
In terms of what you want your account to be about, because I think a lot of us in the digital product selling space who are just focusing on the products,
Yeah.
sometimes we have products in all different areas, and it might make sense if somebody is searching for that product and we come up in search results, or they're stumbling upon our stuff somehow and it makes sense at that time. But then when they follow us, if we're posting about a bunch of random stuff, it might be like, well, why am I following? Like, let's say that you have a product for teens and then you have a product for like toddlers. It doesn't, why is that person going to follow you? Because it doesn't necessarily appeal to them unless they have kids in both age ranges. I'm just curious if you've kind of thought about your content from that higher level view of like, okay, why would someone hit follow on this? Like, what would be the type of person that would hit follow and why?
Yeah, I have, and I've had some debate over that, I guess, because I think there is a good overlap with faith and family, but at the same time, there's a little bit separate niches as well at the same time, and yeah, there's different age ranges for sure.
Okay, so I got all my questions out. Thank you, just giving me the context. I'm just curious, like, what do you have questions about?
I guess I'm curious how you find balance with running everything, the shop and the social and blogging and email lists. I feel like there's a lot going on, and I mean, I think I've found some things that I do that work, but at the same time, there might be some better advice out there.
Oh my goodness, I have no answers. It's like every day I have to come up with a new roadmap to try to get there. So I wish I could do that. But what I will say that I do that works, getting this is like the thing that no one wants to do. You have to know the people that move the strings in the niches. So you coming on this podcast is great because maybe somebody will be listening to this that has some sort of way that you guys can work together, or even just like they start following you and then something happens out of that. Or if you apply to be on a bundle and they're like, who is this Megan Campbell, and then they Google you and this interview pops up and they're like, oh, she's legit, okay, she can be part of this bundle, that's fine. So I feel like some of it is you got to get to know people and that helps. So for me, I cannot go it alone. Every business has a partner, except for my Etsy shop. I've tried that, but that's too difficult to do with other people. I feel like it's just easier just by myself. But everything else has multiple people. And that's how I get through it. And then networking with other business owners that have traction in some area, and then you can collaborate. At the beginning, when you don't necessarily have something huge to offer them, it can feel a little intimidating, but you just got to break through and network. So I guess I would ask, are you doing any networking? This is a networking thing, but are you doing anything beyond this?
Not too much. I mean, I've thought kind of about it, but that's about where I've gotten. Um, so I think that would be a good idea. It's just, I guess, yeah, I need to figure that out more.
And then the second thing I would say is spend a lot of time researching so that when you do something, it's right. So that's why with the ePrintables course, we focus so much on all of the data tools, because then when you actually create the product, and those of us that are busy people, we don't have much time. So we sit down and it's like, it's the only time I have, and I have to get this thing close to right. I feel that if you've done the research and you invested time into doing that, then you're more likely to have that be worth something. So that's how I kind of think about it. But I don't have any, like, I wish I had life hacks and stuff. I outsource a lot. Like, when I've brought in various levels of income, I do outsource with things now that I didn't do a long time ago. That certainly helps save me time. But beyond that, I don't have any solutions. Do you have any solutions that you figured out yet?
No, how I do it is just like one day at a time and prioritize for that. What's next?
Yep. And you said you have older kids.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I guess it doesn't get easier.
no, yeah, I have a range. My oldest is 19 and my youngest is 8. So I
Okay.
have, so
Yep. So you're in all different stages right now.
yep.
That's fun. Cool. All right. Any other questions that you have?
No, well, I guess just with we're kind of talked about this for a second ago, but just the different, where I have like the faith and family, and I think it mostly works most of the time. But then there's some things like in my email list where I'm like, oh, should I do like, I don't know, separate emails? But that sounds like an additional, additional step, additional thing to do that sounds kind of more overwhelming. But I don't know if it's good to focus, yeah, on I like tried to merge them together or focus
You
on
mean
one.
like you have create two different accounts or to just segment the list?
Segment it. Yeah.
And who are the people? Where are these 50 people coming from?
I think they're signing up through like, because my earlier ones have been like through the religious ones. So I think they're mostly with the faith and family. But then as I grow, I didn't know like if I have more in that family niche as well, whether to separate that out more.
I would say stick with faith and family right now.
Okay.
And if somebody who isn't in your faith wants to be in your list, they can figure out how to make the best use out of why they follow you. You don't have to overdo it. Because when you're getting started, I think it's too hard to build multiple things. And even
Yeah.
like when you're telling me about the two blogs, I'm thinking about it, I'm like, oh my gosh, like that's a lot of work to have to create a whole second account. Maybe just the first one was more salvageable, because I do see when people come into whether it's an Etsy shop or a blog or whatever, it often takes them a while to figure out what their actual niche is. So I think for you, it's okay if someone joins your list and they're not in your faith, and they'll figure out where they're supposed to go. And if they don't want to be there anymore because it doesn't appeal to them, then they'll unsubscribe. You don't have to worry.
Okay. Yeah. That's helpful because that's one thing I've been like, yeah.
So one idea I want to mention to you, you've talked about
Okay.
bundles. Would you ever have the confidence to make your own bundle?
Maybe down the road, I think if I have an experience with joining a bundle and maybe seeing how that process works a little bit from the side.
Because I mentioned this because 99% of people, they just like want to be the follower and they don't want to be the main person responsible because it's a lot of pressure. And also, you don't want to like raise your hand and stick your hand up and be like, okay, I'm the person that's the leader of this bundle, and then all the attention, and you're like, do I imposter syndrome? There's a lot of reasons, so I get why people don't want to do that. But at the same time, the person who runs the bundle gets every single person's email subscriber.
Yeah.
So when you're sitting there and you're like, oh, I hope I get like 200. Okay, well they just got 3,000 because they collected every single person's, and then that's when I'm telling you to network. You're
Yeah.
going to get to know every single person. They're going to know you because they just emailed back and forth with you. Now it's a thing. It's like a lot of work. And I think not everyone has the time or like the organization or the follow through, because if you do this and then you like botch it, then you have 11 people that now think that you're, not organized, and it backfires on the networking. But I think sometimes the people that stand up and volunteer for stuff get the best result out of it. So just something to think about, if you're like, if you do one and then you're like, oh yeah, I can do this, then maybe you could run the next one. Now, sometimes people will say no. Like we've been contacted by random people. I'm like, I've never even heard of you. Is this like your first doing anything? Which may make someone that's more established more nervous, but a lot of people do. They do like participating in these bundles. And if you can find out where other people live that are similar to you, kind of friendly competitors, I feel like that could be something that you explore to grow faster.
Yeah. That could be an idea.
Yeah.
Sure.
And then you get to see everyone else, like you'll see behind the scenes. So you'll kind of see, okay, like which stuff was the most downloaded. Like there's ways you can kind of look at the analytics, and then you'll be like, oh, okay, like people really liked, like this audience for whatever reason really liked this presentation or this. I'm talking about summits now, but like, just a regular bundle is kind of easier to do. But just an idea.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that could be something to consider for sure. So,
But yeah, once you do that, sometimes there's no way to kind of come back from it. Because like now I'm Julie Berninger from Gold City Ventures, and thousands of people read these emails, and it's like, you can't really go back from that. So if you just want to be someone that tomorrow you could change your mind and just like run away off into the internet, once you start like putting yourself out there, it's a little more tricky. Your business gets bigger. But I feel like if you do really want it to make money and be successful, thinking like, well, why not me? Why can't I be the person that organizes this? That could be helpful. Cool. Any other questions that you have that I could help you with?
well, I guess they're all kind of along that same line, but I guess with having just the blog and social media, would you, I don't know, I've been trying to kind of do both at the same time, or I'm just wondering if it would be better to focus on one or try to split the difference between those and try to kind of grow them at the same time.
While blog is definitely possible, it really depends on the type of person, and it's kind of like a longer game.
Yeah.
And also, Google's been on a wild roller coaster journey for all of us since March when they shook up their search results. And sometimes I think it's harder to rank now as an individual blogger than it was in January, for example, before all this went down. And then it is easier to write blog posts though, because you can use AI to help you and different things like that. But I would say, like, if you have, how many posts do you have on your website?
I'm probably about like maybe, I'm just guessing, but I think about 7 or 8, somewhere in there.
Okay. If you have 7 or 8, that's a legitimate site. I feel like you don't need to continue to make new blog posts. The social stuff can be helpful. That being said, it's not my favorite thing. I did enjoy it yesterday when I did have Taylor and Cody kind of come over and we filmed together. It felt more fun to me, but like that's 5 years into my business. I've never done that with anyone else prior. So some people love it. For me, I struggle with loving it as much. Do you feel like, oh, you're like, oh, this is kind of creative and fun, or you're like, it feels like work to me?
I, I think it depends. Like when it's my face behind the screen, it feels more like work, I would say. I've been able to do some videos that were fun to make, although they were timely.
Yeah, and that's tough like on social because if you with printables, you can do it like super faceless and just do you filling out the sheet and then like the caption is the thing. But that's not as interesting for somebody to follow you as like, hey, watch my family get ready for our Easter scavenger hunt, and then like them seeing everybody having fun with it or whatever. Which, some people have boundaries. Like, I don't want to put my kids on social media. You can decide your own boundary for that. Obviously, that would be, you can see why watching people having fun using the Easter thing is going to probably make more sales than like a piece of paper on a desk. It's
Yeah.
just not going to be as interesting and do as well. So I think, not to say like you need to put your kids on social media to get a lot of views. Like there's other ways, but you just got to think through like, oh, what is somebody going to find super appealing and stop their tracks when they have 10 minutes at the end of the day and they're scrolling and they're like, oh, that's an awesome idea. Or they're searching for something very specific, like a solution to a problem that they have, and that solution is presented there. So, I guess what I'm saying with social is like you could record 10 flat lay printable videos, and it's just kind of like getting the job done, but you'll probably get better results if you like think about it. So, at the end of the day, though, out of all the ideas, I think you have enough. The getting involved in a bundle and like creating your email. Do you have an email sequence, a welcome sequence, and stuff?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So, and then does it go into an offer? Like, does it pitch people something at the end?
Well, it, I will pitch, it does. I mean, I have like a coupon that I send out for them specifically.
But you don't tell them like you don't try to get one specific thing. You don't have a flagship product where you're like, okay, I'm trying to sell everyone on my list this thing. Okay, because you could like, I think that's probably worth your time to figure out like what is, because imagine like from your perspective, you join an email list and you're like, okay, this person's interesting, and then it's like, oh, you can buy things in my shop for $10. It's like, well, I'm not shopping. Like, well, why would I buy anything from your shop, right? Like, unless you're like, oh my god, I've been waiting for this coupon. But for the majority of people, I just don't think that's quite the experience. So coming up with, for you actually, I know we're talking a lot of different directions, but coming up with a flagship product that the majority of people on your list would probably buy. Like right now, for example, the teenager product, if everyone doesn't have teenagers, then that's probably not going to be the flagship product. Or it could be a bundle of like my LDS package and it's like everything and you sell it for a certain price and that's what you try to sell everybody.
Yeah.
That could be if you can't think of like one thing that fits. Like if there's something like, oh, every family, the family LDS planner or whatever, like were there any, when you did the competitive research, were there any other people that were selling like a flagship product like that?
I don't know about, that's why I'm trying to think back. It was a while ago that I filled that out, but I can't think of, well, let's see. There was one, I can't remember what they were selling though. I'm trying to remember, but they focused mainly on one thing, and I can't remember if it was like a planner or an activity book. I don't remember exactly. yeah, everything was geared towards that, I think. Yeah. And I do offer free printables to like my subscribers, but they're very, I have a variety of them. So I just will every couple of months we'll send something that way, but I don't have, yeah, like a flagship type.
Yes, I would say that, everything we're talking about, that's your first kind of like issue because I've talked to a lot of creators and they're like, oh, like I want to make money. And then they don't have, like, well, okay, well, what are you selling? And it's like random stuff or like, they don't have, because right now what you have is you're bringing people on your list. You're not pitching them a specific thing and you're just giving out freebies. So I think you need some sort of big product that you can sell them. And you got to think about what is going to appeal to them. So I think that actually is your first. That's going to involve a thinking cap research, but
Oh, yeah.
I would try to get really crystal clear on what your flagship product is. Make sure like there's a lot of audience demand for it, and then you can test it. I mean, you have an email list. You can put them through. When you bought ePrintables, you remember we put you through a sales sequence. Like remember 4 emails, and you had a deadline or whatever. Do the same thing. Put your 50 people through, and if 50 people isn't tons, but if you don't, I would say if you get one sale or 2 sales, you'll be like, okay, this is good. If nobody wants this thing, then okay, I got to come up with something more appealing, a better thing. Or you could ask them a question and be like, hey, what stuff have you bought lately in the LDS faith or whatever, and then they give you a bunch of answers, and you're like, oh, this is what they're looking for. Or on Etsy, it can let you see like what other people are buying. They bought your thing, what else they bought. That could be helpful if you're like trying to see what other stuff people are buying, just to get a customer profile of the type of things that they like.
Yeah. And that's something I think I've tried to figure out in my opt-ins and I haven't quite found it yet. And so I just need to keep brainstorming on some ideas that would work. And if I found that flagship item, would you do an opt-in that was kind of connected or similar in some way and grows from that?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
something similar, similar to that. I think that's totally fine. I think I'm wrapping up this here, but I do want to say if anyone would love to follow you and see your journey and see where you ended up with all of this stuff, where can they find you?
Well, at my Etsy shop, Prince to Uplift, and at my blog, princetouplift.com, where I do have the free printable for the scripture study activity ideas for families. I'm also on Instagram, Facebook, and Pinterest.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much, Megan. I hope that you have a great day, and thank you all for listening.